Hi, I'm Will Joseph Cook, and this is the track by track for my Sweet Dreamer album debut. Done. Show me the love that we had before and tear the world apart. For like most people listening to the album, like it's obviously all new tracks, but I think the oldest one on there is Habit, which I wrote when I was like 15, and then I came back and like reworked it. So the first single I put out was Girls Like Me, and that was March last year, I think. So it's been probably like a year now since this whole like album's process. But yeah, so I've kind of been writing it and piecing it together over all that time. But yeah, it feels like it's gone really fast. Let me tell you who I am. I'm your biggest fan. So Biggest Fan was a track. It was the last track that I finished on the album. It was like I literally remember recording the vocal for it. Was like I had like one line of it like not finished, and the second verse or something. It needed to be like finished, recorded, final vocal that day. But the song is about a long distance relationship, I suppose, like maintained through like FaceTime calls, like in different time zones and stuff. So about halfway through like the writing process of the album, I started doing more like pre-production arrangement on my own, and this was like, as I was saying, it was like in the last like batch of tracks that I finished. So it was like I had this kind of demo production with that I took to Jack Stedman from Bombay, and yeah, we ended up like, we did one track together first, which was Plastic, but then we did like 3 others because that went so well. And Biggest Fan was one of them. You don't have to pay the rent. Just show me. Sweet Dreamer was a track that I wrote in the kind of midst of all the like shit news last year, and I think like there was a general like negative feeling around the beginning of last summer. And also like, you know, I'd moved out of home, and like it was kind of, so it's like a very like personal song, but also kind of taps into this wider feeling of like trying to block out like negativity and focus on good things. So like the Come Back to Me Sweet Dream is kind of like calling out back to your like inner optimist, or maybe like to a time when you thought things, when you were more maybe like rose tinted about things, and how enjoyable that can be, just to be kind of blissfully ignorant of stuff. The video, it was just another one of my dumb ideas, I think. Like, yeah, it's about like being sucked into this like kind of like weird like negative like media dream world, I suppose. Like the whole thing's pretty surreal, like and I wanted the 3D glasses to kind of represent this new way of like looking at things. And but yeah, it's a pretty strange video. Treat Me Like a Lover was probably the most difficult track for me, like creatively. But it was so strange because like when I wrote the track, it was like I did it pretty much in one sitting. Like it was so instant, like all the lyrics and everything, and I had it as this guitar track, like quite classic, within like a day. But then I think because maybe I was so like grounded in that like original version, then when I tried to like produce it up and write an arrangement for it, it went through like 4 different versions before I like arrived at like what it is on the album. And that took like maybe like over the course of 3 months. But like I knew at the core of it was like a song that I felt strongly about. Production wise, it was really difficult to get back, and it wasn't until like I stripped everything out and just kept it really vocal centric that suddenly the whole production seemed to no longer get in the way of the track. So I think that's why it has this kind of like sparse, like pulsating beat throughout it, is just to leave so much space for like what is like a really classic vocal melody, I think. I just don't wanna act too fast. So Plastic was probably the one on the album that stayed like, it was another one of my pre-productions, so like it was probably the one that stayed like truest to, like when I took it in with Jack, like he was adamant that he didn't want to like tear the demo to shreds and stuff and start like re-recording guitar parts or finding new synth parts and stuff. So I think the thing that really brought it to life was Jack's an amazing drummer, so like putting like live drums on it. And I think because it has that kind of indie dance crossover, like the sonic dynamics are so like important, you know, to feel these like lows and then like for it then to be able to like explode at the end. I got bubbles inside my head. So Beach is the only EP track to survive onto the album, and I think that's because it definitely like set a writing tone and a production style for the rest of the album, and I think it also set like a good marker for like maybe how pop I was willing to go, but maybe more just like how far can I push the pop but like keep it interesting in it, because I think there's like lots of weird ideas in it, and the beat's quite like jarring, and it's quite like a strange medley of sounds and stuff. So I think it was like kind of defined the kind of pop that I wanted to write. With Beach, it was another reason why like I came back to it and it's made its way onto the album is when I was writing it. It just started out as like nonsense lyrics with like vague like little words and like phonetics. Like it's pretty much how I write every track. It's just like there's sounds in it and then I kind of carve away at these and maybe one thing sticks and then suddenly I know what I'm going to write the track about. It's basically just a storytelling of something that I didn't go to but I thought was like quite a fun concept. I had this idea of like prisoners or fugitives in love and like this kind of classic like Americana feel to it, so that kind of shaped these weird verse lyrics in it. So it's like you have the overarching love story and wanting to reach each other, but you're both like on the run or imprisoned, and that's kind of like where the video came from. It's good to be alive and shocks me. Alive is actually another one of the oldest tracks on the album. I just had the verse guitar riff for like years and just had like a good little bop to it, and I guess I mean the song like is another like album defining track. I think like it lives in a very similar place lyrically to Sweet Dreamer. I think they're both about quite personal tracks but with like an overarching kind of like strive for optimism and like trying to encourage positive thinking and stuff, like more in myself than anything, but I think that, you know, it translates to a broader message. But yeah, I think Alive is actually, I always saw it as the like sibling track to Plastic. I think they both have this kind of like kind of raucous indie dance, like euphoria, but also feel like really melancholic. Like I wanted the lyrics to be kind of tragic at the same time as having this like, yeah, euphoric dance rhythms to it and stuff like that. So you get this kind of cathartic conflict between the lyrics and the music.